We heard the rumors over the weekend. The Shadow Conclave is indeed coming to Marvel Strike Force. Now, I just have one interesting question. Is this team going to be the tail end, the conclusion of the Age of Annihilus? Or are they the kickoff team for the Age of Fear? I think there's evidence to support that. Let's go ahead and get into the information that we have at this time. We have this communication for the eyes of the envoys and all strike personnel. Subject, classified deployment alert, Shadow Conclave mobilized. The following confidential transmission has been broadcast across all encrypted strike clearance channels, level 7 and above. Now that designation of level 7 and above is interesting. That is the shield level that is necessary to know who all the combatants on the field are, right? They don't want to keep anything secret. They're letting you know. And so they're letting us know this is what's going down. Commanders, a new directive has been issued from Strike High Command. The Shadow Conclave is being prepared for immediate alliance war deployment. So the rumors are indeed true. The Shadow Conclave is coming and they are indeed an alliance war team. This is no ordinary strike team. The Shadow Conclave is a gathering of tyrants, killers, and master manipulators built to crush resistance and dominate the battlefield through fear, force, and ruthless precision. The Shadow Conclave consists of 3 new operatives entering active combat status. Malekith, the vengeful ruler of the Dark Elves, brings ancient sorcery. No, we don't need any sorcery. Ancient sorcery, cold ambition, and a talent for spreading ruin wherever he strikes. Executioner, a brutal Asgardian enforcer with overwhelming strength and a fearsome reputation. Executioner was made to smash through any opposition standing in his way. High Evolutionary, a visionary genius obsessed with control and perfection. The High Evolutionary turns terrifying intellect and advanced science into a weapon of total battlefield superiority. So there are our new members of the team: Malekith, Executioner, and the High Evolutionary, who are the reworked characters. It says, in addition, we have Sylvie and Thanos. They have been updated under the Shadow Conclave designation. Sylvie thrives in chaos, twisting every fight to her advantage with dangerous cunning and unpredictable power. Thanos remains a catastrophic force capable of reshaping any battle through sheer power alone. Together, these operatives form an alliance war team engineered to break enemy defenses, seize momentum, and leave nothing but devastation in their wake. That, I think, is an interesting point. So this is an alliance war team. It's designed to break enemy defenses. So that means this is most likely an offensive-minded team. They want to seize the momentum. So perhaps there's some type of speed manipulation, right? So even if somehow they don't have the momentum, they don't have the initiative, somehow they're going to be able to seize that and try to get ahead of the opponent. And as we look at the kits, we don't have the kits for all the team, but if we look at Sylvie's kit and Thanos' kit, we can see indications of that happening. I can't wait to break that down. And again, leave nothing but devastation in their wake. If you played with those characters in the past, you know that they're legit. They hit hard. Back to the paragraph. Further intel on each operative's combat capabilities will be declassified soon. But early reports confirm the Shadow Conclave is built to excel in prolonged war. Built to excel in prolonged war engagements where control, pressure, and overwhelming power decide the outcome. Maintain full war readiness and prepare for immediate Shadow Conclave integration. So again, I think there's some more good information right there built into the paragraph. The Shadow Conclave is built to excel in prolonged war engagements, right? Control, pressure, and power. So this looks like it's not going to be an Alpha Strike team, but the longer they stay on the field, right? That's the indication I'm getting. The longer they stay on the field, the longer you take to get them off the field, the harder it's going to be to deal with them, man. They probably ramp up quickly. It says they're going to take control, right? Well, they don't say that, but they talk about seizing momentum. They talk about control, applying pressure, and then overwhelming power. So if we think about the characters mentioned, the characters that we know about, at least that we've played with in the past, Sylvie and Thanos especially, the longer the match goes on, the more dangerous those individuals get. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we know and kind of feed. Right, I have a theory here. I have a theory. Let's go ahead and start breaking it down. Let's talk about the theory of operation here, why I think that the Age of Fear might be kicking off with this team. For example, we have Sylvie here. She's already in the game. She is a villain, cosmic, mystic character, right? We want to keep those traits in mind because they pop up more often. Villain, cosmic, mystic, and she is an Asgardian. So the Age of Fear, Cole Borson, he's an Asgardian. It's dealing with that theme. It's dealing with that those cast of characters. So maybe this is an introduction into that journey, especially as we start thinking about down the line, who were the other characters that were mentioned. So we have the Executioner, right? Scourge. It said in the paragraph that he is an Asgardian, right? There's some comic book wise, right? We could kind of talk about his heritage a little bit, but in the game term, he is an Asgardian. So again, that makes 2 Asgardians on this team. Similarly, Malekith, right? Malekith. So depending on his designation, he too could be listed as an Asgardian. They might put him give him some other classification. If he is also listed as an Asgardian, I think that's going to be very interesting and might be telling for the future of the game. Finally, obviously, we're going to have the High Evolutionary. Obviously, he's not of Asgardian origin, but I'm really curious to see what this character is going to bring to the game. He's very powerful. We know him from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the interesting thing about this team is these are all villains from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think that itself is really, really cool. Finally, we have Thanos. And this is old school Thanos from the original, again, movies. This is not Endgame Thanos. This is old school. Bro, this is a dope character. This is back when Marvel Strike Force this is the vanilla version of Marvel Strike Force, man. He's a great character. He's really got a lot to offer. So let's take a few minutes and look at these kits and see if we can figure out what this team is supposed to do and how they're supposed to work. So let's go back and look at Sylvie, the goddess of mischief. So we'll just take a look at her passive ability and see what might be adapted for the game. It says on turn, she's going to heal for 5% of max health, 5% of max health per non-minion Asgardian. So if they leave this in the game and they make those other members Asgardians, then it would make sense to kind of leave that part of the kit alone and not change it. It says on turn, if there are 2 enemies, she's going to mind control 1 random enemy to attack a different random enemy. The controlled enemy will gain damage, 75% damage for the attack. If Loki's an ally, so Loki will not be an ally. He used to be on this team. She used to be on the Bifrost team. So Loki will not be on this team. The controlled enemy would gain an additional 100% damage. They could easily change the name. They could easily say if Loki or Executioner or something like that is on the team, then that damage would apply. On death of an ally Loki or Loki mirror image, fill speed bar for self and all Bifrost allies by 15%. So again, this is something that could still be used. This is something that could be adapted. They could perhaps Malekith would summon dark elves or something of that nature. So if there's minions like that on the board, and if people are eliminating those dark elves, and that would fill the speed bar for what's her name? For Sylvie? Keep wanting to say Loki. That would fill the speed bar for Sylvie. Maybe they could just leave it at that, or they could change this to all Bifrost and all Shadow Conclave allies. We'll have to see. Gain 65% focus. So that'll go away because they have the stats now more baked in. Now, this team used to be a raid team. Raid text is usually extraordinarily overpowered. So I don't know if this would make it into the game or if they would change it in some way to have some type of a war call out instead of a raid call out, right? So on successful attack by this character, by Sylvie, a Bifrost ally, a Loki mirror image, apply bleed to each attacked target. That itself isn't super overpowered. That's not super overpowered. They could change that to say in raids and in war. Shadow Conclave ally, right? Add somebody else on that text. That by itself isn't super powered. On enemy minion death, fill speed bar for her and all Bifrost allies by 15%. And so in my mind, I'm thinking they're going to use this. I think they're going to use this. It makes sense. So again, if Malekith is summoning in Dark Elves or whatever, that would be how they could perhaps take control of the board, right? They talked about seizing the momentum. So in some way you need to manipulate the time, or excuse me, the speed, right? You need to have some way to manipulate speed. And this seems to me like already a way that they could do that. We won't know till we see the real kit. Loki and Mirror Loki gain 30% damage. Bifrost allies gain 65% focus. So again, they'll probably remove that focus portion. Maybe they'll do something with the damage. This move here, the Timeless Trickster with Eliath, this is dope. So again, if you saw the Loki TV show, this character right here, Eliath, legit. Attack all for damage, flip speed up, and apply slow. So that's going to be part of the control mechanism because that's what we used it for in the past. You have this move, it attacks everybody, flips speed, and gives slow. All right. Reduce speed for all enemies per Bifrost ally. Excuse me, 5% plus 5% per Bifrost ally. So they could probably, again, change that to Shadow Conclave. In Raids in Dark Dimension, flip taunt. I could see them keeping that in today's game, right? Because if they want to seize momentum, you want to get past the individual who's taunting. I think they could still use that. Now this is more speed bar reduction. So that on top of what we just saw, maybe that's a bit much. I don't know. We'll have to see. It says if Loki is an ally, the attack cannot be blocked and there's extra damage. The attack cannot be dodged. So most of that probably will stay. If they add somebody to the Loki there, another name, again, Executioner is what I'm thinking they might do. Put him there and the extra damage will apply. This because her kit's a little bit old. So it's not super broken. With new stats, they might have to make some adjustments. Variant Vendetta. Attack primary target for damage. Apply offense down for 2 turns. I think that is significant because that will come up again later. Let's keep this in mind. This offense down. Attack primary target for damage and apply offense down for 2 turns. Copy and clear 2 positive effects, not taunt, and apply stun. That in itself, that's legit, right? Having a stun at the ready, always awesome. Let's continue. Chain to 4 adjacent targets. There's damage, more offense down for 2 turns. Copy and clear 2 positive effects. Counterattack breaks the chain. Offense down. We got copy and clear. So again, she is a controller. So she's manipulating the flow of battle. I'm very curious to see what they do with this because she's a raid character. So I'm really interested in what they do with the kit to make her viable in Alliance War. Her basic is Slashing Fury. Attack for damage. Flip deflect. Chain to 2 adjacent targets. For damage, flip those deflects. So in war, there's going to be deflects. People use boosts. So if this is something that you can call in on an assist or something like that to just remove the deflects, that's awesome. That's awesome. In raids, reduce speed bar for the primary and secondary targets by 3% for Bifrost. They could still use it. This would make her extraordinarily effective. That would make her extraordinarily effective. It might be too much. It's raid text. Raid text is usually very overpowered. We'll have to see. Counterattack breaks a chain. It can't be broke. What else happens in raids? If they perform a counterattack or assist, and if they have regen, they get more damage. 100% plus to their damage on that counterattack or assist. I don't know. You think that's something that doesn't seem broken? That doesn't seem broken in today's game. They could probably keep that. Let's go take a look at Thanos. All right, we're going to take a look at Thanos' kit here now. The cool thing about it, if you didn't know, Thanos has 2 different kits. All right, there's Thanos here, and then he gets empowered because he activates the Infinity Gauntlet. So he's an older character. If you weren't here for the Black Order, man, this dude they were legit. He was strong. I'm super excited to see what they will do with him again. Let's go through his basic kit, talk about it, and then talk about his empowered state and see if we can figure things out. Again, this is back in the day. Look at how short and sweet these abilities are. They probably don't need much work. With new stats, he's probably going to be very, very devastating. Titan, Eternal. On turn, if this character has at least 1 Infinity Stone, he becomes empowered. Gain 1000% resistance while taunting. On death of an enemy, generate 2 ability energy for self or any adjacent cosmic ally. So we saw that Sylvie, I believe she was a cosmic. Yep, she was a villain cosmic character. So let's continue. Because in reality, probably the majority of these individuals could be classified as villain cosmic. So this is probably something that will stay. And depending on where you place him, you're going to be trying to supercharge certain characters. It's interesting strategy there. Energy bomb. Attack all for damage. 100% drain. This was a problem. The attack also cannot miss. Brutal assault. Attack primary target for damage. Apply offense down and gain taunt for 2 turns. So he could be the taunter still. He could be the tank of the team perhaps, or maybe we'll have multiple tanks. But again, there's that offense down. And since it's just something to think about, since both of those characters have offense down, is that something that's going to play into the mechanics of the team? Attack primary target for damage, gain counter. Awesome. Now, what happens if he gets powered up when he has the Infinity Gauntlet? So this is empowered Thanos. He's wielding the gauntlet. He's letting us know. Now, also, just something to note. He's on the best villain team, right? The best villain buddies team. So we got shards coming for him, and he's going to get another power up anyway. Just something to look forward to as we continue to go through the anniversary event. He's on the villain buddies team. Ultimate power is his passive ability. If the character's health is full at the start of the match, so this could be activated relatively quickly, right? If it takes him a while to get powered up, maybe he won't be full. But, well, I guess he would be full. He would be full from starting the match. If he's full at the start of the match, the first time this character or a Black Order ally, so they'll probably adjust that. Shadow Conclave drops below 50% health. You're going to fill the speed bar by 50% and apply regen to him, to Thanos, and all Black Order allies. So if they make that Shadow Conclave, because that was part of the issue in the past when we were fighting the Black Order, you knock them down, they would all get a boost to their speed. And so then they obviously would start being able to take turns, even if they wouldn't, right? Even if you were able to outspeed them, if you started doing damage, you kicked their speed bar up and made it so that they were able to start taking turns. Gain 1,000% resistance, 200% focus, lower armor and damage by 10% for all enemies. That is significant, right? It's not something we think about, but there are a good amount of characters in this game that have like damage reduction and things like that. So this is automatically to lower the damage that they have incoming. Excuse me, I probably misspoke. Incoming damage to you gets lowered, and the ability for you to do damage gets raised essentially by 10%, right? So regardless of if a person has defense up or anything like that, offense up, and then again, you're giving them offense down, you're taking an additional 10% off of their damage when you already took 50% off of their damage. In war, if this character has 2 or more Black Order allies, hero bio enemies cannot gain charged. All right, we might talk about that at the end, but there are some very significant individuals in the game who they can't get charged. They lose out. So this is a Alliance War team. Probably the 2 that come to mind right now. People were saying like Red Hulk, which I get. He was made to counter the Red Hulk back in the day, but Miss Marvel Classic. Miss Marvel Classic is a hero bio enemy, and if she cannot get charged, then a bunch of her stats stop working, and her damage resistance also stops working. So if you can punch through her when fighting against the absolute A-Force team, right, which this might be made for, then you can get to the rest of the team. Mr. Fantastic, it's not a huge deal, but Mr. Fantastic MCU, he gets charged, and while he's charged, he continues to be able to heal and things of that nature. If he's not able to do that, perhaps you can get through him as well. And if you could punch through the tank, again, you're able to get through the rest of the team. Those are just a couple individuals that we were thinking about right off the top. Nova is another example. Nova, let's look at my notes here. Nova, without his charges, he loses a lot of stuff. Both Novas, without their charges, they lose a lot. So this individual, by stopping you from not being able to get charged, can stop a lot of the newer characters that are causing difficulty in Alliance War. If this character has 2 or more Black Order allies, lower the damage reduction for hero bio enemies that do not have defense up by 10%. And so, like we said, Miss Marvel Classic has innate damage reduction if she has the charge, especially. And this is going to lower that. So it's going to make it easier for this team to punch through her and probably coax them to be either put off of defense or whatnot. Celestial Barrage. Attack all targets for 200% piercing damage, 100% drain. Repeat the attack 2 more times. Reduce the speed bar of all enemies by 20%. This attack cannot miss. This probably stays. And again, this is one of those things that is going to be used to help control the flow of battle, to change the momentum. This was a problem back in the day, but it's nothing compared to this special, man. This special and the ultimate on this character were ridiculous. Flip all negative effects to positive. Time shift. Flip all negative effects to positive for all allies, all positives to negatives for all enemies. So that combined with Sylvie, so you have 2 people that are going to be changing individuals' abilities overall. This is going to happen twice at least in the match, where people will have an attack all and be flipping effects. I think that's very interesting. We talk about controlling the opponent. Just those 2 characters. These are the guys we know about. These are the guys that we know about. It's going to be very, very interesting. Apply taunt for 2 turns to Cull Obsidian. Cull's not going to be on the team, so maybe that goes to Executioner, right? If there is no Cull Obsidian, apply taunt for 2 turns to a random cosmic villain ally instead. So I'm going to assume that all the characters are cosmic villain. So without a name, this might be dangerous, right? Maybe that's the trade-off. Without a named character there, if they don't replace Cull Obsidian, I'm going to assume that all these guys are cosmic villains. So let's say anybody could get the taunt. So I'm hoping there's somebody who's designated as the tank, which it might be him. It might be Thanos. So we'll see what happens. The attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. Basic attack. Infinity Blast. Attack primary target for damage. Apply bleed. Attack all adjacent targets for damage. Bleed. Gain counter. Spread positive effects, except for taunt and speed up from him to all the Black Order allies. So again, if they put Shadow Conclave in there, that makes sense. And then he has specific war text here. Clear speed up from the primary and adjacent targets. Copy and clear taunt on the primary target to Cull, who's not going to be there. Spread all positive effects except for taunt and speed up from him to all Black Order, probably the Shadow Conclave. Gain 1000% extra focus for this attack. So if that still works as a call in, right? If that still works as an assist or something like that on an ISO attack to just clear things, and that's not, right? That's not uncommon in the game that we're playing right now at all. That's not uncommon in the game that we're playing right now at all. That could be very significant. And it probably is going to work. So what are your thoughts on the Shadow Conclave so far? How do you think the other members are going to work? I think this is a really cool idea. MCU themed villains. And I think this is the kickoff team for the Age of Fear, right? We have a couple Asgardians. We have 2, maybe 3 Asgardians. We're starting with villains. So maybe they're here to cause problems and start kicking things off, right? During the Age of Fear, causing that mass panic and pandemonium just because the bad guys wrecking shop. That's what I think right now. I want to know what you think. Are you ready for the Shadow Conclave? Are you excited for this team? I'm excited to get Empowered Thanos back in the game for sure. And hey, if you haven't seen these videos right here, please check them out. As you see, wait a minute. We got some members. If you're an endgame player and you're like a grown-up casual, right? You're going to play the game, do everything without people prompting you. We're not necessarily trying to get number 1 and everything, but you kind of expected to know the game, play the game, be aggressive, or getting more aggressive in war. If that sounds like you, hit me up. We got a couple spots open. I'd like for you to be there. Check these videos out. Peace.